In this podcast episode, we're going to talk about 4 tips any detailer can use in their business today. This is the Detailing Business Class Podcast. And hello, welcome back to another podcast episode. Glad to have you here on this one. We're talking about 4 tips any detailer can use in their business. And the reason why I'm kind of making this topic is just because, so many times we want to start thinking about so many other things that we can be doing in our business of like, marketing, lead generation, and maybe, learning more skills and this, that. But it's like a lot of times, most of the time, actually, if you go back to the basics and fundamentals and just like basic things that you can like get better at, that oftentimes can give you a immediate return as far as like you see an immediate difference in whatever you're doing in your business. So, you can think about long term and, 6 months down the line and 12 months down the line and 2 years down the line. But there's quite a few things that if you just do these things now, it's like, oh, there's already impact on there. So that's kind of what I want to cover. And this is, again, like this is applicable to any business, whether you're at 1,000 a month or 10,000 a month. Like just thinking about like, oh yeah, what are the basics that we kind of overlook now, just because there's so much going on, can really help you out. Because even with us, like you kind of, at all times, you kind of want to hold a standard of what your business does and what they do. And if you kind of let it's very easy to let some of the basics fly by because it's the basics, and because everyone wants to focus on the fanciness and the cool things, it's like you kind of let the basics go away. And then, again, if you want to hold that standard, if you're running your business in a certain way, well, then, all things should be held to whatever standard you're holding in your business. And before we get into the podcast, I do want to have a quick note from our sponsor, Jobber. Now, when you first get started in your business, it's pretty easy to just keep track of your customers' information and your schedule on a pen and paper, or maybe something free like a Google Calendar or like an Outlook calendar. So things are pretty straightforward there. But as your business grows and you get more customers, you need to schedule more people, you need to schedule more cars, it definitely helps to have a more robust app to use to run your business. So that's where Jobber comes in. So before Jobber was actually a sponsor of us or of Detail Groove, we've been using their software for 3+ years to run our business. So when we're scheduling mobile jobs, when we're scheduling shop jobs, when there's multiple customers on the day, when we have to reschedule, move things around, we do all of that through Jobber, and we've been doing all of that through Jobber over the last 3+ years. So again, before they even a sponsor, before any of that, we've been paying for their software and been using their software in our business to help us to keep us more organized and more efficient with our day-to-day operation. So if you want to give it a try, you can click the link down below in the description box if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this, you can check the show notes and you can get a free 14-day trial plus 20% off your first 6 months with the link down below. Again, thank you very much for Jobber, and let's go ahead and get back to the episode here on the 4 things that we're doing. So number one, and these are no specific order. These are just things that I came up with. So the fourth one doesn't have any less meaning than the first one, yada, yada, yada. So here's number one is you have to draw the line and where you stop detailing based on the customer's level of expectations. Meaning, this goes back to the most like one of the early things that most detailers will face, that you have to, you as a detailer would love to do everything, right? Because you're the detailer, you're passionate, you love detailing, or at least you have an interest that like you'd like to keep on detailing because that's why you're detailing, right? And this is going to be applicable to a barber, to a dentist, to a carpenter, to a groomer, like for pets or animals, to where you have to be able to draw that line of like, yes, I could do more. And I'm going to keep it very general because it's applicable in the most general sense of anything detailing. Yes, I could do more, but based on what the customer and I agreed upon, based on what they're paying for, based on what they expect to receive from this detail, I can stop right now and the customer is going to be 100% satisfied, right? That doesn't mean you're going to be satisfied, right? So giving you an actual example here now is, yes, if you're doing a one-step polish, right? Let's say the paint swirled up and a one-step polish is removing 50% of the swirls and scratches from the paintwork. And that's what the customer is paying for. Even though they know you presented both options, a two-step correction will get you 80%, and the one-step option will give you 50%. They're paying for the one step. They know that there were two options. They know that the other option gives you a better result, but they're paying for the one step. They're expecting one-step polish results. Now, to you, you're saying, oh, but if I just spend a bit more time, if I just do a bit more work, man, I can go to and do the two-step and get way better results. But again, based on what you agreed upon with the customer, what they're expecting, what they're paying for, it's that one-step polish. And you as a detailer, you're like, oh, but it'd be so easy, just a few more hours or 2 more hours, and I can get it looking so much better. And that's where you have to draw the line, because you can apply that same mentality anywhere. Of like, oh, well, if I just do one more pass on the interior, oh, I'll get the seats looking so much better. Oh man, if I just sand a bit more on the headlight, I can get it so much better. Oh, if I just spend another 20 minutes on this engine, I can get it looking so much better. Oh, if I just spend 5 more minutes on these wheels, they could look so much better. So you'll always have that thought of like, well, if I just spend a bit more time doing that, oh, it'll look so much better. And although yes, it's true, you could, right, produce better results, but the customer is not paying for that. The customer is not expecting that. That is not what you agreed upon. If they want that level of service, if they want that extra effort, that extra skill that you're putting into it, well, they're going to have to pay for that, right? So if a one-step polish is, I'm making up numbers here, 500, but the two-step correction is 900, well, you shouldn't go do the two-step correction effort and get those results if they're only paying for the one-step polish, because obviously there's a huge price difference and time difference and skill difference in those two things. So you have to be able to draw that line and say, yes, I could do more. And it's difficult because, again, you're the detailer. You want to do more. You're able to do more. But you have to draw the line and say, yes, like, although I'm not satisfied because I know I can do more, this is where the customer and I agreed upon. This is what the customer is expecting. And this is what the customer will be satisfied. Because how often or not you think, oh, man, these results aren't good. They're not going to be happy. And then you go and call the customer out and they're like, whoa, thank you so much. This looks fantastic, right? So your perspective and what's good or what's good enough is completely different than what's good enough for the customer, right? And oftentimes, the customer is nowhere near close to what you think is good enough, right? So you have to be able to draw that line. Number 2 here is always keep the customer in the loop. Usually when a customer is upset or something doesn't go as planned, it's because of a lack of communication. So think about it like this. Like, you're on a to-do list for the customer for the day, right? Let's say Joe, right? Joe has his Saturday booked out. He's going to go and watch his kids play baseball. He's going to go to the grocery store. He's going to go and get his tires changed. And then he's also going to get a detail. Now, on that whole list that Joe has going on for a Saturday, you should, and this is the way I think about it, and this is the way I communicate with the team, like, we should be the easiest thing that they check off on their to-do list. All right, of all the things that they have going on, us showing up and taking care of his vehicle should be the easiest, hassle-free, painless experience that he has for that Saturday. Like, we shouldn't even be a second thought to him. It's like, yes, they're there, I have a schedule at 9 a.m., and that's it. Like, there should be no second thoughts, nothing. Now, if that's not being achieved, then we have to stay in communication with the customer so that even though if there are some hiccups in the schedule and whatever, keeping them in the loop will still kind of have them in this sphere of like super, like a super easy experience. So what I mean by that is, if you're gonna be late, why would you not? Like, you already know if you're gonna be late or not. So you would want to notify the customer and let them know, hey Joe, we're actually running a bit behind time. We're actually gonna get there at 9:15. Don't tell them this at 8:55. If you're leaving your shop at 9:30 and you already know you're gonna be late, you text them right at 8:30 or whatever you're leaving. Like, you always don't wait till the last. Don't try to try to make it in time and rush and still end up 10 minutes late. As soon as you know you're going to be late, you let the customer know, hey Joe, sorry about that. We're actually running a bit behind on time. We should be there by 9:10 at the latest, right? Always keep them in the loop. If you said the detail is going to be from 9 to 11:30, and you're like, man, we're actually it's taking a bit longer. It's actually, we might actually have to stay here till 12:30. You let the customer know, hey Joe, I know I said 11:30, but it's actually going to be more around 12 o'clock. Is that okay with you? Do you have anywhere to be? Right? Keep the customer in the loop. That way, if they have to watch their kids' baseball game, if they're going to go to the groceries, if they're going to go get the tires changed, they're planning that day around you, around your appointment. So it's like, where are you? So like, they're not just there just for you. So you want to ask like, hey, is there any, like, is that still okay, or do you want us to like, is there a time limit to this? And he might say like, oh well, you know what, like I have to be somewhere by 12:15. So like, if you guys can finish around like 11:45 at the latest, that'd be much better. It's okay, I got it. We'll finish that up, Joe. So being very respectful of their time and their schedule, because again, it's not a revolving around. You're just one little thing that has to get done for that day. And things like that. Like when they first call you, and you tell them, hey, let me give you a call back because whatever. Like you give them a call back, or if they call you and they leave you a voicemail, you listen to the voicemail first. You go through your voicemails, you listen to the voicemail, and then you call back to them and you say, hey, Jennifer, I just got I listened to your voicemail. I see that you have a Toyota Camry and you're looking to get the engine cleaned and a headlight restoration. Are you still interested in that? Right? It's like always keep them in communication, because that's like a big part of everything of how you communicate with the individual, right? If someone picks up the call, if a detailer calls them back, and they're so unprofessional and like they're not really communicating that well, and they're kind of brushing that customer off, that customer doesn't want to do business with that person strictly off how they're communicating. And then if you call and you're saying, oh, hey, Jennifer, glad you called. Hey, sorry I missed that call. I listened to your voicemail. Hey, so you have, and like you're being a lot more responsive. You're being a lot more genuine with your communication. You're answering all the questions. Like that's a huge difference between how you talk, how the other detailer talks to them, and then how you're talking to them. And again, that's going to give you a lot of bonus points in terms of like, okay, of the 4 detailers that I called, you know, they might have had cheaper prices. They might have been a bit closer to me, but man, Zebra Detailing over there, man, when they talk to me, they're a lot more articulate. They're a lot more friendly. They're a lot more, genuine in their response, and they really showed. They were asking me so many questions, and they were answering all my questions. So even though this detailer is closer, and this detailer is cheaper, and this detailer was recommended to me by someone, well, this detailer over here was super friendly, and like I liked his energy way more than everyone else. So I'm gonna go with that detailer, even though he's a bit pricier, he's a bit further. He doesn't come recommended. Well, I like the way he talked to me though, so I'd prefer to go with him. Um, so make sure you keep the customer in the loop, and that kind of goes along with like just communicating very very well. The next one here kind of piggybacks off that one as well. That professionalism isn't just about how you look. A nice branded shirt and a hat with your logo on it will only take you so much. More importantly than that, again, based on what I just said earlier on the previous point, is it's how you act and talk with the customer. So yes, having a logo on a shirt and a logo on a hat with your company name, sure, it's nice, it's cool, but then it's when you get to the customer's location, right? How do you greet them? How do you talk to them? How do you approach them? How do you shake their hand when you're waiting around? Or does it look like you're attentive? Does it look like you care? Or are you kind of just walking around, hand in your pocket, looking down, not really doing anything, right? Like these little things that they see, the mannerisms, like that really affects how they perceive you. So you could have a branded hat, branded logo, branded shirt, branded truck, or a van. And it's like, well, this guy's still sloppy. Look at him. Like, he doesn't talk to me right. He's kind of talks in a low tone. Doesn't really look me in the eyes. Like, didn't explain the service again once he got here. Didn't answer my question. Was kind of like brushing me off. Was on the phone when he was here. Like things like that. Obviously, no matter how well branded you are, the way you act to the customer and how you talk to them, is gonna obviously overshadow the branded shirt that you're wearing. And obviously, if you flip that, is if you're just wearing some Nike shirt with a Adidas hat, but you're very, you're well spoken, you talk to the customer, you're giving them your full undivided attention, you're answering any question, you're making sure that they understand the detail, you're asking them if they have any questions. That's completely different. So it's how you look is just one small part of it. More importantly, it's like how you act, how you talk, your mannerisms, how the customer perceives you, how your etiquette towards them, you being at their home or apartment, where like that's what really matters. So don't think it's like, oh well, I need to get a branded shirt. It's like, how about you understand how to just to have proper customer service skills, and how to properly like communicate with a human being, person to person. So that's definitely a lot. Yes, like it'd be great if you were great at talking to people and interacting with people, and you had branded logo shirts and hats. But just the shirts and hats in itself, it's like that. For many years, I didn't wear a branded shirt and a branded hat and a branded event. Like I didn't have that for so many years, and to this day, we don't really have that much. Because to me, it's like it's not a big deal to like, oh well, we don't have a rat van. Like it doesn't matter. Like by the time they read our reviews, they read our website, they call us, they text us, they email us, they already know how we operate. The van, if we had a hat that had our logo, if we had a shirt, like, yes, that's cool, but like, they already know how we are. Like, we've already set the tone through all the communications, actually talking to them, and then reading our website, reading our Instagram, our reviews, and just talking to us. We're like, okay, I know who they are. Again, not saying that not have having a logo and all that is great, but it's only great if you have everything else in place. The last one here, tip number 4, is everyone is out there just trying to figure it out. There's no secret path or steps to what anyone is doing. Meaning, like even everyone that watches me and looks at me and they're like, oh, your business this, and oh, that's so cool this, and oh, you have a shop here, and oh, you have a van here, and how did you do this, and how did you do that, and how long did it take this, and how did you know that this was gonna work, and how did you hire this person, and how did you do that, and how much do you pay them? It's like all those questions that you have, I had those exact same questions when I was doing it, right? So it's like, oh well, how do you know when to hire an employee? It's like I didn't know when to hire an employee either. I just knew once I was getting too busy, it's like I need some help. Boom, there it goes. Like that was the answer right there. Well, how much do you pay them? I don't know how much to pay them. I literally spoke with the person. I was like, what's fair? Like how much do you want to get paid? That's how I solved that issue, right? When it comes to I don't know, what else did I just say? When it comes to getting a van, it's like, well, how do you get a van? It's like, well, I don't know. At this point, like it's kind of maxed out. We don't have enough space and we want to do more cars per day. So I guess it's time to get a new van. Right. So it's like the same question that you have is the same question that I had when I was figuring it out. And that applies to everyone. No one knows the next 10 steps. They have a plan for what they want to do. But as far as like if we hire another detailer, anyone, it's like I don't know the exact steps to take in terms of, well, what questions do I ask them? Where I put where I put the application, or where I go for them to apply? How much am I going to pay them? I don't know these answers, and that's going to be applied to when you're first trying to get to your first 1,000, to your first 10,000, to your first 30. Like no one knows the answer. Everyone is literally taking that first step and figuring it out. I can't talk. And that's everyone. Like even right now with me, when I say, oh, like if I want to go and if we want to get a second van, it's like, do I know the exact steps that's going to happen for us to get that? No, I don't. Like as I'm going and I'm making the decisions to buy another van, to hire another employee or whatever, it's like I am figuring it out literally as I go. Don't think because I make that decision I knew what I was doing. It's having faith in making the decision that you're gonna keep on pushing things forward to get to the end goal. So it's like no one knows what they're doing, right? Obviously now, because I have experience doing this 10 plus years, we've hired multiple people. We have, like, of course there's you have experience that you can bring along that helps you make some decisions, obviously, right? Like I'm not gonna, from hiring the first helper to hiring the fifth person, of course, there's a level of experience that I now know of things that I should share, of things of onboarding them, of expect. Like, yes, there is a difference there, of course. But even with that, it's like everything is uncharted land as you grow the business, right? How I do things, how I hired my first helper, how we got to our first 5,000, 7,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, like how we did that is going to be completely different from you, right? It's like, I can tell you exactly how I did it. I can give you my best pointers, but still, even with all that, you will go through your own path, your own journey, your own things that you have to figure out on your own, right? I mean, you can go through you'll probably go through the exact same problems, the exact same obstacles, the exact same challenges, right? But the way you handle them will be in your own unique way. So yes, it's good to have obviously knowledge and education and experience, but like that doesn't mean that someone with that just says like, oh, okay, so he knows exactly what he's doing. No, because I don't, right? But I say I don't with the confidence and to still move forward. That's the difference. Like I don't know the next 10 steps, but I know where I want to go, and I'm going to take some steps. Some are going to be wrong. Some are going to put a few back, but nonetheless, I'm going to take those steps because I want to keep on moving forward. Right? Like there's no exact blueprint to what you have to do. Like everyone is charting their own land. So I'll go ahead and end it right there. Actually, that's a good point to leave it right there. Again, if you want to, you can check the show notes down below, or if you're watching this on YouTube, check the description box down below for Jobber to get your 14-day free trial plus 20% off your first 6 months. Again, far before they were sponsored, far before any of this, we have been using their software. And we do primarily, like a big portion of that is simply to just keep track of all our customers and manage the calendar. That's a big part of it. So for us, when we'll have customers dropping off their vehicle, customers picking up their vehicle, we'll have shop job scheduled, we'll have mobile job scheduled all in one day, or of course over the week. And for us to keep all that in track, for everyone to know what's going on, to see like who's doing what, we use Jobber to handle all of that. So you can click down below to get your free 14-day trial plus 20% off your first 6 months. Other than that, you can check the show notes again for the ultimate guide to start your detailing business, to follow me on Instagram at Detail Group, which that's like where most of the communication happens now. If you go back like maybe like 4 years ago, I would get a lot more emails. But now with social media and all that, the easier form of communication that everyone kind of opts out to or defaults to is now like direct messages. So if you want to send me a direct message, send it there. Ask me your question. Give me your situation. But other than that, I'll leave it right there. I'll talk to everyone on the next one. Bye-bye.